Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking all about markets and my experience with selling flowers at my local markets. I thought I would put together a video on the 10 lessons that I've learned after a year of selling flowers at the markets. I did do a video all about like the 10 lessons that I'd learned as a first year flower farmer, but I wanted to do a dedicated market video because it's definitely something that I have learned a lot throughout the year and I think can be put into a whole video. So I'm roughly going to cover about 10 of the lessons that I've learned. There is so much that I have learned in my first year with markets, but I'm going to do a separate video on a Q&A. So if you have any further questions, I already have a bunch of questions that I'm going to answer, and I'm also in that video going to do specifics on my market setup, including like all of the different products that I use, the tent, the tables, all of that is going to be detailed in that video. And this video is going to be all about the lessons and kind of the broader things that I learned throughout the year. So if you're new here, my name is Robyn and I run a flower farm here on the south coast of New South Wales, Australia. We run the flower farm from our backyard, so it is a backyard cut flower farm and it is truly one of my life passions. I absolutely love growing things and I have just loved this first year of being a flower farmer and going to markets, talking to my community, getting involved in the community. I really didn't know a lot of people when we moved down here just a bit over 2 years ago. So going to the markets has been amazing for that. And yeah, it's been an amazing journey so far. We have a few different areas around on the flower farm where we pick and grow flowers. I have like a more permaculture cottage style garden closer to the house where I grow a lot more like veggies and herbs and a few flowers. I use herbs and a lot of other plants in my bouquets as well. But we also have a dedicated area down the back of the property where we grow more flowers and I kind of have the bulk of the flower rows down there. So that's just a little bit of an intro, but for this video, make sure to grab a cup of tea or coffee. It is going to be a sit down chatty video, but I am going to overlay things just so you can see what our market setup looks like. And I'll try and overlay some clips to explain what I'm talking about for each of the lessons. So I just wanted to preface this video by saying there are so many different avenues to sell flowers. Markets is definitely not the only one if you're not comfortable doing markets or it just doesn't suit your lifestyle. It is what we chose to do just because it fits with our life right now. We don't have a lot of commitments on the weekends and we're pretty fit and able to do markets. So I just wanted to preface with that there are so many other avenues that you can go down selling flowers, but this obviously is all about selling at markets. And I also wanted to say we started doing markets around March last year, so 2023. So we've had almost a full year of doing markets, and a lot of the time, majority of the time, we've also been partnering up with another business to run this market stall. So I wanted to also just say that because that is important for our business model and I think can be really useful for smaller businesses that are starting out to partner up with other businesses to build the stall. So yeah, just wanted to preface that as well. We sell our fresh flowers predominantly at the markets. I also sell bath salts that I make, bath bombs, any leftover flower plants that I have, dried flowers. Occasionally we sell some local veggies at some of the markets and then we partner up with Whitbird Environmental who sells native plants and vegetable seeds. So it's a really nice full stall. We don't always partner up for every single market, but majority of the time there are a few plants that I bring to the stall to bulk it up and also to help reduce the market fee by sharing that with another business. I try and do at least 3 markets a month if I can, so that's 3 weekends throughout the month, and that's currently what we're aiming for. So I think that's good for information for an intro. So I'm going to jump into the lessons. I do have my laptop down here, so I'm going to be referring to that throughout this video. But the first lesson that I learned this year was that the type of market really matters for your business. So generally there's two types of markets that will be on in your area if you do have markets. They'll either usually be like a farmer's market or some kind of boutique craft market. That is the case for us in the area that we live. We have so many different types of markets. We live in a very highly popular tourist area. There's markets on every weekend, both farmers markets and these craft markets. So there's always an option for me to be going to a market and selling my flowers if I'd like. But I have over the year tried a lot of different markets to see which ones worked, and I have kind of figured it out now which ones work for me. And a lot of the larger markets in our area aren't actually worthwhile for me to go to, which is kind of surprising. But because we do live in such a touristy area, we live on the south coast of New South Wales, it's very popular for people coming from Sydney and both Canberra to go on holidays here or go on weekend trips. Fresh flowers don't always sell amazing to those kinds of customers. Often tourists are more likely to buy things like bath salts or a bath bomb to kind of like remember the area, and then rarely interested in buying plants as well, or the flowers, because then they have to take them back in their car or they're only staying for a night or two at these holiday destinations. So I have found that these flowers don't really sell amazing at some of these larger ones. If you're in the area, one of the largest markets that we have is the Huskisson market. It's really, really large. It's on a Sunday. There's so many people always around, and I did that market expecting it to be really, really busy with sales, and it wasn't really busy at all. I think it's a combination between the type of people who were coming to this market, lots of tourists, and also just the economic conditions at the moment. Fresh flowers, they're a luxury item. You don't have to be buying them. So a lot of people are tending not to buy flowers a lot of the time, which is perfectly fine. You've just got to work a little bit harder to find those customers or adjust your prices accordingly to suit the kind of economic conditions that we're in at the moment. But yeah, at this market, which is usually really popular, I just found flowers weren't really selling that well, or if they were from a lot of my regular customers who come to the smaller other little markets where flowers do a lot better. This is just the case for me and my area, but I truly think it does take quite a while to be able to understand what markets are going to suit you best. For me, the combination of both farmers market and a craft market is perfect for selling flowers. So we have other things like little village markets around where a lot of local stores come and sell their products. Those are the best markets for me in particular. Farmers markets aren't super big yet in this area, but I am yet to try some of them at different areas around the south coast. But around me particular, I find farmers markets aren't that popular, and I did try one in one of the main centres that I'm close to, which is Nowra, and I just found the farmers market there just wasn't worthwhile at all. It was a weekly farmers market. We were going every second week though, and it was a lot of work for not a lot of reward. One time I only sold just one bunch of flowers there, so that was $20, and other times, you know, I would sell like 4, 5 would be a good day kind of thing. But overall, with the amount of effort that you're putting into these markets, it just wasn't worth it for me. So I will be sticking to my larger regular monthly markets that have both a mix of stalls that are selling plants and veggies and food, and craft things, rather than just really large touristy craft markets, because I just found flowers don't do well at those. The second lesson that I learned was investing in good quality equipment for your setup is really worthwhile. And by this, I mean the tent, the tables, just comfy chairs to sit on, not necessarily all of your like display items and how to actually display your products, but I found like the tent, the canopy that we have for our market stall. It's a Wanderer heavy duty tent, I believe, and I'll go into more details of this in the other video, but it is about 3 by 3 meters, and it is a bit larger and heavier than some of the other tents, but it was definitely worth the money, particularly because we live in such a windy climate. The south coast gets some pretty strong winds here, so if you do live in an area that you know, you're not too worried about wind and you never really get a strong breeze, maybe it's not necessarily worth it to fork out the money and buy a more heavy duty tent. For us, it definitely was, as well as the tables as well. Just some really good sturdy tables that are going to last a long time. Really worth it in my opinion. Things I haven't really spent a lot of money on are, again, as I was saying, the table setup. So I just use like a lot of Hessian black tablecloths, which I got from Kmart. They're super cheap, but they look good. You don't necessarily need to fork out a lot of money, and just get something obviously that isn't going to tear and rip after a few uses. Make sure that you can actually use it, or if you can make your own, that's even better. And I just use things like buckets and particle board to like create a little bit of height in the stall, as well as plant trays to display like veggies and bath salts as well, and little baskets that I pick up from op shops. Super cheap in terms of the actual display, but the heavier, bulkier things, I do think it's good to invest money in that. Keeping on the topic of display, the way you display your tables is really going to matter. And I had no idea how to do this at the start. I was just doing kind of like one front table and leaving it at that. And I have come a long way with understanding how the tables should be set up according to the markets that you're going to, and whether or not you have a stall on either side of you versus if you're on like a corner or something like that. So I had a lot of good feedback from a lot of people when I started to bring the tables under the tent, and particularly for things like flowers and veggies, when it's a sunny day, it can really impact what you have and what you're selling. So I have started for a lot of the markets to kind of do like a U shape, but bring it so that the end of that U is right underneath the tent. So people have to walk in to be able to actually see what you have available. Now I do display the flowers up the very front though, so that they can clearly see what it is I'm selling, and that is really important, I think, for the main items that you're selling, to be able to have them clear and the most visible so people can see from afar what you're actually selling. But a lot of people want to come out of the elements. They don't want to be standing in the sun looking at what you're selling. They want to come in, particularly if, you know, it's not the nicest day. They feel more comfortable, and it's overall just a little bit nicer. So that is what I have started to do. I would really like to eventually get like a mat that I can place on the floors so people don't have to be walking on dirt and leaves, because a lot of the markets we have, it's just on like bare ground rather than grass or concrete. So that's something I'm going to do, but in cases where I am placed on a corner, I will often do just a L shaped, and I'll have it still under the tent a little bit so people have to walk under to be able to see that, but that way I can have people looking from all directions what the products I have to see, and if there's a main kind of pathway, then I'll have the flowers displayed in front of that. But yeah, it's all about kind of trial and error. If you do have a favorite way to set up your tables, please do let me know, because I would love to know and try different ideas. But I have found that the U-shaped tables works the best for me at the moment. And then another lesson with display is that height really matters. This is something that all people running a market stall will tell you, that the height and bringing things up to eye level is really important, and having kind of some kind of tiered system will really help your stall look a lot fuller, and people will just be able to see more of what you're selling. That being said though, I start out with a really low tier. So with the flowers, I actually find, rather than having the buckets on the higher tables, I will actually have them placed lower. I can adjust the legs on some of my tables so that they're only just off the ground, and that way people are actually going to be looking down at the flowers and be able to see every type of flower that you have in your arrangement. And I found that's really working well. I have that up the front of the U under the table, and I try and have the flowers up the front so that they can People can see that I'm selling flowers and that I'm a flower stall. And it also just allows people to be able to look at the flowers where they are a little bit further away from me and other people, because I'll get into that in my next point, but being able to engage with your customers and understand that they might not want to talk to you all the time is super important. But that's why I do like to have the flowers up the front so people can just have a look themselves and they can clearly see all of the flowers. I then take 1 or 2 buckets that I have up the back of the stall to just balance it out, and I will gradually just refill the front flowers with those back flowers as they sell throughout the day. I mentioned before that I use things like buckets and particle board to create height. I do that to display some of my bath salts, and whenever I have veggies, I'm always like raising up trays and placing hessian over them and then placing the veggies in those so that it's either on like a tilt and people can clearly see all of the veggies rather than just looking down at a flat tray. And eventually I would just like to get, or probably just make, some of my own some like wooden boxes to have around the stall just to raise everything up a little bit and to create a little bit more of a tier system at the stand. Right, number 5 is how to engage with customers. And this again has taken a long time to understand, and I'm not perfect on this. I'm not perfect on any of these things, but these are just things that I have gradually learned, and engaging with customers is a big one. Now, I have worked in retail quite a lot, so I have definitely developed some of these skills. I had a retail job like throughout my whole university degree, and I kind of can gauge how to talk to a customer and read their body language when they do come up to the stall. But if you're completely new to this, I'll share some things that I have learned, and one of those is to just not automatically say something to people. Sometimes, and a lot of the time, when people are walking around the markets, if every single stall holder did that, people would just be put off, I think, or at least I would. You've got to think that these people are walking around to potentially like dozens and dozens of different stalls, and sometimes just want to have a browse. They might be with kids, they might have a dog, they might be with friends, and they want to enjoy time with them and be having conversations with them rather than saying hello and doing small talk to everyone else. I will often let people say hello first, or if we make eye contact, then I'll definitely say hello, how are you? Or hi, how's your day going? Something like that. It's really about just that eye contact and the customer showing in their body language that it's okay to talk to them and to say hello and to interact with them. And often if I do say something too soon, or if I say hello or how you going or something like that too soon when the customer isn't ready and they are just browsing and not actually making eye contact with me, they'll say something like, hi, I'm good, I'm just browsing. And that's code for hi, I'm good, but don't talk to me. Obviously in like the nicest way possible. But when people do say I'm just browsing, it generally means that they're not really interested in having a conversation and you've overstepped some kind of boundary, that they just want to be left alone for a little bit and that they will come to you when they would like some help or assistance. But if someone is lingering quite a lot, they're looking at a lot of different things, it becomes, a little bit awkward if you don't say something. So that's a case where if they haven't made eye contact with me, but I can see they're obviously interested in something at my market stall, then I will approach them and say, hi, how you going? Or interact with them by talking about something that they're looking at. Usually I will say, hi, how you going? Let me know if you have any questions relating to the flowers or the plants or whatever they're looking at. That way you can show them that you're there, you can help them out, that you've interacted with them, you're friendly, make them feel a little bit more comfortable, but they're still in control of conversing with you and the customers will feel a little bit more comfortable with that. Or if you have something that you can give them a sample, that's a really great way to engage in conversation. So if I see someone picking up the bath salts or having a look at them, I'll offer and I'll just say, feel free to have a smell, or here's a sample so you can have a closer look. And that's pretty easy then to break the silence and start a conversation from there. I'll also try and sit towards the very back of the stall, and I've spoken about this a little bit, but sitting back and not standing over the customers or watching their every move is going to also make them feel a lot more comfortable. And just think about how you would like to be approached in a shopping center or in a stall. If you're by yourself, you're often just wanting some me time and to be able to look by yourself and not have someone just looking over you and looking at everything that you're doing in the stall. So I do like to sit back, and usually I will be sitting behind one of the tiers where I've got my bar salts or something else. So you can't really see me or see what I'm doing until I stand up and approach the customer after I've had that initial conversation or interaction. So those are just a few things about customer engagement, because I did get some questions about this, and this is what I've learned, this is what works for me. But if you have any other like really good prompts or ways to engage in conversation, please do leave them in the comments section, because I know I will benefit from that, and I'm sure a lot of other people will also benefit from that too. Also, sorry if you can hear any background noise. There is a lot of construction going on at the moment, so hopefully that's not picking up on the microphone. But number 6 that I learnt is to get up and rearrange your stall. I always am making sure that I'm rearranging the flowers pretty much whenever someone buys one of the flowers, because I display them in buckets. I will get up and rearrange them to make sure that they're all facing the front, or that you can see them all, or that the paper hasn't fallen down too much. Getting up and doing that is something that I would really recommend, as well as like keeping all of the items straight, like all of the bath salts that I have, or plants or anything like that, that after people have been looking and touching the different items, just straighten them all up. And then also restocking items that people have bought to make sure that there's never any gaps or too much space within the stall. And while you're doing this and walking around your stall and rearranging things, it's often a great way to show people that there's someone there at your stall, or you might even kind of start to look like a customer. And I know when I have a lot of people around the stall, it just draws more people in. So I think just being present and showing your face and getting up, walking around is also just a really good thing to do, and it helps to pass the time and just shows customers that you're there, you're interested, you're proud of your stall, and that you're there, you can answer any questions that people have and have a chat. Number 7 is to always include your branding. One of the very first things that I did for my market stall was I put together a sign. I did like a waterproof, weatherproof banner, and I ordered this from Vistaprint. It came really quickly. The print on it is stunning. Like I absolutely love the photo that I took of one of the Queen Lime zinnias that I had, and on there I have the name of my business, the Patch in Bloom. I show that I have cut flowers, it's chemical free, where I am, and that is just all of the information that people need to see when they first come to the stand. So I would highly recommend doing some kind of banner, and if you do take photos for it, make sure that you're using a really good quality camera and that you have really good lighting so that it looks really nice and professional and is going to catch people's eye. Another thing that I have is I always have my business cards. These do match the sign that I have at the back of my stand, and I made all of this on Canva as well, and then just uploaded it to Vistaprint is where I got most of my stationery for the business and all of the business cards. So if you want more information on that, I'm happy to share all of that. Just do let me know. And also just having like any of your Instagram available. I have like a little photo frame where I have my YouTube, my Instagram, and again, just more information about the business. I would really like to get like a sign with a QR code that takes people directly to my website or my Instagram. That's definitely something that I would like to get, but for now I have done everything that I can on a low budget. And I would also really like to get maybe some more photos to print out just to show people what the flower farm actually looks like, and that is going to just be a really great way to have a conversation with people. So that's definitely something that I'm working on on because I know a lot of people have suggested that, and I totally agree. I think I need some more photos on my market stand. Number 8 that I've learned from selling flowers at markets is because flowers are perishable, always try and have another way to sell your flowers after the market. Often I will be left with some buckets of flowers and it is so sad to just put those in the compost, which I often do with some of my flowers, but I do try and give them away. But the main thing that I try and do after a market is have either a shop or post them on Instagram so that they can sell. Just another way to be able to sell your flowers. And it's good for your mental health to be able to know that this isn't the only way to sell flowers. I know at some of the markets when I haven't sold a lot of flowers, I do get really down, and it's not a nice feeling when you have put so much time and effort into these flowers. But I do partner up with some local businesses that are pretty close to wherever the markets are, and I will just drop them off there if they don't sell at the markets. And that way I always try and go home with no fresh flowers or as little as I can. That being said, if I do have fresh flowers that can dry really easily, that's fine. I will just dry those. But for a lot of like the beautiful dahlias and zinnias, I'm always trying to have a second option to be able to sell those. Number 9 isn't going to be for everyone, and you don't have to do this, but I have found it really helpful to have someone else helping to set up the market and just be around with you for the day. I have a really supportive partner. Scott does help out a lot with the flower farm and with the markets, and sometimes when I just need a little bit of help setting up the stall, he's always there to help pack the car, put things away, particularly because we have a lot of heavy items like plants and tables and the canopy that we need to cart from the car to be able to set up. I could do this all by myself, but would it be incredibly stressful? Yes, so I get my partner to help me with the setup. There are other people around that can help throughout the day, so I don't always need him to be there, but I just personally feel more comfortable having him help me set up and pack down. So if you can, I would recommend finding a friend or getting your partner to help out and buy them something nice from the markets, shout them breakfast or a coffee, something like that. But it really does help out and just removes so much stress. So that's, yeah, definitely something I've learned this year, that it's super hard to do it by yourself, to set up and pack down, unless you're doing like an indoor market where you just have tables. I've done that before and I could do that myself. But for the outdoor markets, particularly with the wind around, I do find it's more helpful to have someone else to help set up. And the last one, number 10, is to find whether a market is actually suitable for you and your business. I chatted a little bit about this before, but Scott and I, we don't have kids, we don't have things that we're doing on the weekends a lot of the time, like a lot of commitments and things like that. So going to these markets, they are worthwhile for me. But sometimes when you're not earning a lot of money from these markets, sometimes I'll only be bringing home like 120 bucks, which is a really low market. For a lot of people, that's just not going to be worth it. So there's so many ways you can decide whether a market is worth it for you. For us, honestly, any growth and all of the sales that we can get right now as a small business starting out is worth it. And I can justify that because I don't have a lot of other commitments to do, and I can just slowly grow this business with these sales. But for a lot of other people, you might want to be making a minimum of like $400 to $500 from a market, or be able to pay yourself for every single hour that you put towards that market at a decent hourly rate. So for me, it is about 2 days of work to do these markets, but I roughly say like around 10 hours or so that I am putting into arranging and being at the markets. It's probably a lot more hours on there that I'm harvesting and putting time into it, but I've roughly said I want to pay myself around 10 hours for this time. So that means I need to be making, I say $20 an hour because, you know, small business. I can pay myself what I want. It's not a lot, but it's something. So I need to be making like at least $200 from these markets for them to be worthwhile. which is what I've kind of said from now on is what I would like to be making. For the markets where I'm not making that kind of money, it's more worth my time to actually just be bringing those bouquets to other shops to sell rather than me just standing around and hoping that they sell at the markets. So justify it however you can and whatever works for your schedule and your lifestyle. For me, that's just kind of how I do it at the moment, and I am just really interested in growing this business and taking in as many sales as we can physically do to be able to put more money back into the business. But I don't think I'm going to be doing this forever, and I know as my life changes, I'm probably going to change the business and justify things differently to be able to suit my lifestyle. But for now, this really works for us. I love markets. I love going to the market and chatting to people and selling the flowers. I love harvesting them and then arranging them at night. I don't mind the stress of it. I don't know, I really enjoy it. So it's something that I love to do and something that I can justify right now. So I hope this video was helpful for you all and you learned a little bit, or you just had some more of an insight into what markets is like for us. As I mentioned, I will be doing another video which is going to be a Q&A, so if you've got any questions, leave them for me here and I'll wait like a week or so before I answer all of those questions, so that'll give you time to ask any questions that you may have. But in that video, I'll also share a detailed breakdown of the setup and things that I use to set up my market stall and just products that I've really been enjoying. Because I didn't cover a lot of things like what we do for like our cash float, how we take payments, market fees, and all of those other things that I'll discuss in another video. I would love to hear any lessons that you have that you've learned doing markets. Please do share them in the comment section and we can all learn from you. And if you did enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you would give this video a like and subscribe for lots more content. It really does help me out and is completely free for you. I also have an Instagram page, The Nature Patch, as well as a different one called The Patch in Bloom, which is my flower business, that you can follow and see regular updates. And if you would like to support me financially and help me to continue to make these videos, I do have a Patreon channel where I share extra videos over there, and it's a way to financially support me. Or you can tip me a coffee and buy me a tea or coffee on my coffee page. I'll leave that below if you would like to help out, because these teas and coffees really help me to make these videos and do all of the editing as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and until my next one, happy gardening everyone. Bye.